Amidst us, General Bipin Rawat, the first and current Chief of Defence Staff of the Indian Armed Forces. Welcome, sir. May I request Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, Festival Director, Valley Awards, to welcome our guests and present a brief summary to the audience of the sessions conducted thus far.
Good evening, friends. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for the Valley of Words and the United Services Institution to welcome amongst us none else than the first CDS of our country, General Bipin Rawat. We're extremely honored that he's flanked by none else than the veteran producer, director, and filmmaker Shri J.P. Datta on one side, and Colonel Sajjad, a decorated war hero from India and Bangladesh. A very rare honor to have with us Padma Shri Sajjad, who's also a decorated soldier in Bangladesh. Very great. We are very honored that both of you are here with us. We are delighted that we are blessed with the presence of General Ian Cardozo, whose poem on the marigold we just heard, and whose contribution to the Vela, his contribution to bringing the narrative is second to none. We are very grateful, sir, that you are here with us. Thank you, sir. And we have on the stage General Sharma and General Pannu, two of my very senior colleagues who have helped me in stitching this all together, because this is a program which we've been doing for the last 5 years, because unlike most literature festivals, which talk only about books which have been written, the Valley of Words, because it was based in Dehradun, had taken a very conscious decision that military history and strategy, as also environment and ecology, would be very much a part of the tradition of reading, writing, learning, and understanding. The reasons are that Dehradun is home to both FRI and the IMA, they are sister institutions, working together. And one looks at ecology and environment, how the natural history of the country is shaping, and the other looks at how the strategic thinking in the country takes place. So one of the USPs of the Valley of Words is that we not only look at literature, the finest writings in Hindi and English, poetry, philosophy, literature, but we also look at specialized things like military history and strategy. And we're very happy that for the last 5 years, we've been collaborating with the United Services Institution. And this year, thanks to General Pannu, we also decided to bring in the film, celluloid, media, because I think we were confined to books. We were confined to books, and but we realize, as the next generation also realizes, that there is much more communication. There's much greater outreach of the film industry. There's much greater, because patriotism, nationalism, songs of Vela, they are best described. And as we've had sessions with both Maroof and Iqbal before, all this has been a great journey for us. I'll take a very brief time to generally inform General Rawat, our chief guest for the day, about what all we've done over the last 2 days, sir. So we started with an address by General B.K. Sharma, and then we had 3 book launches here. We had Shiv Kunal Verma's book, A Western Sunrise, which was India's war with Pakistan, by Shiv Kunal Verma. Then we had Watershed, 1967, India's Forgotten Victory over China, by Prabal Das Gupta. We are very honored, sir, that a book which you're going to be launching 2 days from now on Vijayant, Colonel Thapar was here, so he gave us the copies, and so we're very honored that he was here with us. That was impromptu. We did not know that it will be there, but we're very honored to receive that book, sir, and today we'll be presenting that book to you before you formally launch it for the next 2 days. And the 4th edition of a book by DIG of BSF, who's also an ECO, an an emergency commissioned officer. Yun Janma Bangladesh, the 4th edition of that book, was also launched, sir. So after that, we had a discussion on the salience of geography, how geography shapes us, how geography shapes our borders, which General Sharma curated, in which Shiv Kunal Verma, strategic journalist Aarti Tikku Singh, and I and Shiv Kunal Verma, we talked about how history, geography, culture, religion, identity, how all these things work together. Then we had a session with General Pannu, was in conversation with Colonel Qazi Sajjad Ali Zahir Bir Pratik and Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti and Ambassador T.C.A. Raghavan. T.C.A. Raghavan, as you're aware, is a former High Commissioner to Pakistan, has also worked in Bangladesh. And then we've had discussions with Ashish Singh, had a discussion with General Nirbhay Sharma and General Arun Sani. This was followed by, again, a conversation with our ambassador, with our High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Vikram Doraiswamy, with Colonel Sajjad Ali and General Vinod Bhatia. After that, sir, we had a session with Christian Fair, Dr. Christian Fair, who's done a lot of work on Pakistan, South Asia, the deep state, and the armies. She was in conversation again with General Pannu. And then we had Iqbal Malhotra talking to General Cardozo. We had a session on the contribution of the BSF, the Mukti Bahani, and the Mukti Jodhas, and the Indian Army, how they all worked together in the epochal war of 1971. And we had a very seminal session which went on and on with General B.K. Sharma in conversation with General Ahluwalia and General Prakash Menon. So you'll be surprised to know, sir, that although our session was supposed to end by 5:30, it continued till about 7 o'clock. I mean, this is the only session which is on time because you're here. All other sessions have tended to spill over. So it's important to have the CDS with us. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to put an end to this conversation. It would have gone and on. And so I must thank you as an organizer, because the fact that you're going to be dot on time has ensured that our sessions are done. Morning, sir, we had sessions on the Indian Air Force, the great contribution which the air operations did. We had AVM Manmohan Bahadur in conversation with Jagan Mohan and with Air Marshal Harish Masand. Another aspect about this is that only about 70 to 80% of the authors could join us here. The rest was on video conferencing. So one of the good things about technology is that it's always better if the resource person is here, but we've been able to transcend the barrier of time and space by making use of good technology with this, and like to thank and place on record the contribution of Rishabh and his team, as also the USI's IT team for having brought this all together. Then we had a discussion on naval operations in which Admiral Anup Singh was in conversation with Sandeep Unathan, and then he had a conversation with Admiral Shekhar Sinha. So later in the day, we had Prabal Das Gupta, who's sitting right here with us, with Ambassador Akbaruddin and Alok Bansal. Again, very strategic. I must say, sir, that the conversation that we've had over the last 2 days have really brought about a very great understanding of how India thinks about how various different people in the country, different organizations, how we think and how we can break the silos if they are, and how we can go ahead. Then we had a discussion, a very interesting discussion on war, perceptions, media, how the war shapes our perceptions, how perceptions shape the war, in which General Pannu was in conversation with Sir Mark Tully, who was here with us, and with Subrato Chattopadhyay. Subrato has also shown us some of the work that he's done, and we were there with Vishnu Shankar was there. And then, sir, we had discussion on diplomacy, statecraft, and how do you manage future conflicts, in which Ambassador Ashok Mukherjee was in conversation with General Dhruv Katoch, with General Lider being the moderator. That was, General Lider was online with us. And we also had Shri Arvind Gupta and General Prakash Menon again. Then, sir, we had Maruf showing us the fantastic stories of Vela, in which he moved all of us, mesmerized all of us. This was, in fact, the prelude to the great session which we were having, in which J.P. Datta ji was being honored, acknowledged by General P.G.S. Pannu and Maruf Raza. They were in conversation, and it's been a soul-stirring experience for all of us. We'd also like to acknowledge Mrs. Datta here and his daughters Riddhi and Siddhi, who have been working very hard and making others work very hard. Good. Now we know why the films come the way they are. And now, of course, sir, we are ready for your valedictory address. We'll be honored if you address us, and I hand over back to Srishti for the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to request General Bipin Rawat to present the valedictory address. Sir, please.
Can I come there? Your discretion. Would you like to sit here? Whatever. Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, the patron of Value of Words, sitting here on the podium, very prominent personalities. You know, if I'll not go by seniority, I'll go by General Pannu on my left, who's actually got this thing moving. Sri J.P. Datta, who's been an icon because of the way he's been projecting all the wars that India has fought through the media and films that he's been producing. Of course, on my right, I feel humbled sitting next to a great man, Colonel Sajjad, who has been an icon and a doyen of this war, that is the 1971 war that was fought in erstwhile Pakistan, now Bangladesh. Of course, General Ian Cardozo, who fought the war himself, participated in the war, and his prominence has been that he became a battle casualty there. And very rarely do you find a person who can have the courage to ampute his own legs with his own kukri to be able to survive before the gangrene sets in. I mean, that is something historic and unheard of in the annals of history. And of course, we have General B.K. Sharma, the defense attaché, Brigadier Azad from Bangladesh, honored by your presence. Of course, Colonel Thapar, the family of J.P. Datta. I see Mark Ali there, I see Maruf Raza, I find Chinna. Prabal Das Gupta, of course, has been a young officer with me in my battalion when I was commanding. And General Katoj, I mean, I can, both the Katojas I can find. So, I mean, sitting among this great audience, I feel humbled actually. I wonder whether I can really speak about the 1971 war, because there are people here who covered the war through the media, through the front line, and people who have studied this war in detail. And then, of course, iconic people who participated in the war both from India and Bangladesh. So this is indeed a great historic occasion. This year, as we celebrate 50 years of the birth of our nation, or the liberation of Bangladesh, where the country was born from East Pakistan. And of course, simultaneously with this, we also mark the Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, which marks the beginning of the 75 years of our independence. So both these celebrations going on simultaneously indeed make it historic. Coming down to the war per se, you know, what happened? I mean, most of you are well aware of history, but India's intervention in erstwhile East Pakistan is because of the tyranny that was imposed on the people of then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, by the Pakistan Armed Forces. We are all aware what happened. 10 million refugees, when they started pouring into India, I think every Indian contributed to that war effort. It is not just the military, because I remember we used to have that 5 paisa stamp that we had to put on your postage for the refugees to be able to feed them. And while we were ourselves at that time possibly surviving on PL 480, yet we had the courage, the countrymen had the courage to provide shelter, food to the people who were overflowing from Bangladesh because of the tyranny that they were facing. So that is how India's intervention in the war started. But I think the stage for the victory had been set by the Mukti Bahini and the Mukti Jodhas who were participating in this war, and I think Colonel Sajjad happens to be one of them. Bangladesh, in the last 50 years, has moved by leaps and bounds. You know, every time I have had the opportunity of visiting Bangladesh, or I have interacted with military and civilian personalities of Bangladesh, I get amazed that a nation in 50 years' time can rise to this level. It is a nation in progression. It is a nation which is undergoing rapid development. And this has only happened because of the perseverance, the hard work and dedication of their people and their leadership. Today you see where Bangladesh is, where their economy is, where they are moving, compared to what West Pakistan is today. West Pakistan got independence along with us. They are only going down, whereas Bangladesh has risen. And I think they have only risen because they have realized that the value for a nation lies in peace, tranquility, and development. And they have stood strong along with us in times of difficulties, in times of our need and their need. We have understood each other's problems and we have lived together. How did we achieve this victory in Bangladesh? I think that is important to understand. The war in Bangladesh, as the refugees started pouring as early as March 1971 into India, I remember the political leadership had given very clear-cut directions to the military leadership that we have to liberate Bangladesh, and the sense that the tyranny of these people must not allow to continue in the manner in which it was happening. And therefore the directions were given to then General Sam Manekshaw, who was that time the chairman of the Chiefs of Staff Committee, along with the naval and air component commanders, to say that we must do something. And then, having given the clear-cut direction, it was left to the military as to how they should prosecute the war. So the political aim very clearly came from the political leadership, and finally the mission and the way in which the operations had to be conducted were left to the military. And that is when the three chiefs got together, Army, Navy and Air Force, and of course later Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, because of his towering personality, he could actually take control of the three armed forces and decided on the manner in which the war can be prosecuted, and he asked for additional time. Because that time we needed some preparatory effort. He also looked at the conditions which every military commander looks at, the weather conditions in Bangladesh. They said the monsoons will set in. Bangladesh is a land of rivers, and therefore we should wait for the monsoons, and that is how the period that was selected was post-monsoon. But in this intervening period, a lot of water had flowed into the rivers of Bangladesh. The Indian Armed Forces were providing support to the Mukti Bahini, but really speaking, the stage had been set by the Mukti Bahini and the Mukti Jodhas in the way they had conducted operation, and actually gradually started weakening the Pakistan army in East Pakistan. I think that is an effort which we cannot forget. What the people themselves, the Mukti Bahini themselves had done to set the stage for the victory by the Indian army in such a short time. This is something which is very important to remember, that the Bangladeshis were very much part of the war effort, and it was a coalition war that was being fought with the people of Bangladesh and the Indian Armed Forces. Now let's come down specifically to the Indian Armed Forces. What is the Indian Armed Forces effort? After it had been decided that the war will be fought, we fought the war in Bangladesh as a theatre battle, something that we are now contemplating. The Eastern Theatre had General Jagjit Singh Arora, the Eastern Army commander who was controlling the theatre. Along with them, he had his Naval Component Commander and the Air Force Component Commander. The Eastern Naval Command Commander that time was Vice Admiral Diwan, and of course Krishnan, who was looking after the Air Force. So it became a theatre, and this theatre came up because we got time to prepare for the war. From March, April, or actually April when the directions were given for the war to be prosecuted, till about December when the war was actually executed, there was adequate time for everybody to get together, get the theatre structure in place, and that is how the war went through. And success was achieved because of the manner in which the three forces had integrated, and there was true jointmanship. Jointmanship amongst the three services and the coalition with the Bangladesh Mukti Bahini in East Pakistan. I mean, that is how I think we prosecuted the war, and this planning preparation that went on with the support of the political leadership was absolutely clear. Today, when we are looking at the future of warfare, we are looking at the same situation evolving. We are now trying to look at creation of theatres where we find that the Army, Navy and Air Force can no longer fight in individual silos. If we have to prepare for future wars, we have to integrate, carry out our operations in a joint manner with all the resources available to the nation. Wars in future, if they are going to be fought, they will not be fought by militaries alone. It will be a whole of nation effort. Because every aspect, every the ministry, every department of the government which will be required to support the Ministry of Defence and the armed forces will get involved in the war. It will be actually a citizens' war. And the future war that we are looking at may not be a war of attrition the way it was fought in Bangladesh. Today, if any military does not imbibe technology, they are bound to suffer. You need to imbibe technology, get adapted to technology. And in this, what I mean is you got to have technology orientation amongst the personnel of the armed forces, and then you've got to get in equipment that imbibes technology. To say that the next war is going to be attrition war, where battle will be fought with, troops on troops be contacting each other on the front line, may not necessarily happen. Wars may be fought in the cyber domain. The space may get involved. There will be artificial intelligence being incorporated in warfare. So if that is how war is going to be fought, you may actually find that the troops in the rear and the people in the rear getting affected by battles, and the troops in the front line actually joining battle at a much later stage. In fact, will we even get to know when two nations are at war? It will be very difficult to decide whether nations have come to war, because the adversary may actually start the warfare through cyber warfare. You may find that your civilian systems start getting disrupted, your banking systems, your railways, your power grids, and what have you. So with these disruptions, will we be able to gauge that the war has started? And only then will warfare begin. And thereafter, the warfare may begin not with troops in contact. It could be the launch of missiles. Adversaries now have long-range rocket forces which they have evolved. So these may be the ones that may first come into battle. And then, after the adequate isolation of the battlefield has taken place, adequate information has been, generated, adequate information warfare campaign has been launched, in which the media will play a very big role today in warfare. And I find that there are friends from the media here. They do understand this. Media can help you in shaping the battlefield for the conduct of war. So these are some of the aspects which I think we need to understand, and we need to take our lessons for the future. That future wars will not be the war as it was fought in 1971. Future wars will be very difficult and different. There will be, the nature and character of war is changing. Wars will still be bloody, but the manner in which the bloodshed will be, will be there in battle will be very different from what happened in the past. The civilians will get equally affected in this war. It will not just be a military battle. As I said, the entire nation will go to war. And technology will play a very important role in the wars that we are going to fight in the future. So with that as the backdrop, I would like to compliment the USI and of course the Value of Words for having taken this initiative on getting back to what happened in 1971, because any nation which does not record or recall its history is bound to fail. You cannot forget what has happened in the past. This was a great victory for India and Bangladesh together, and we are very happy that there are leaders and military personnel from Bangladesh who are participating alongside us in this event. They have been part of us all through, and we are quite confident they will remain part of us in the years ahead. We recognize that this victory was not a single victory of the Indian Armed Forces. It was a victory that was won with the support of the Bangladesh Mukti Bahini, and therefore it was a victory of people of Bangladesh and the people of India with the armed forces supporting them. With that, I wish to sum up my talk, wish you all the best, and I'm sure that this 50th year of the emergence of Bangladesh and the birth of Bangladesh and the victory of India in the 1971 operations will go down in the annals of history as one of the best battles fought in the world, because never has any nation achieved such success in such a short time and liberated a nation from the tyranny of the other nation that was perpetrating tyranny on the people of that country. I am quite sure that with this, India-Bangladesh relations will reach a new high. We will continue to maintain our relationship with each other, not just at the military level, but people-to-people contact and at the political level. So with that, I wish the organizers of this great function the very best. My best wishes also to the Bangladesh Armed Forces and to the Indian Armed Forces, those who sacrificed themselves, laid down their lives, those who were wounded in battle, and to the families of those who were part of this campaign in 1971. At the same time, I would also like to make a mention about the 54 of our people who have remained unknown soldiers. We still have 54 people whom we believe are prisoner of war in the custody of Pakistan. And how and when will we be able to get them back, or what is their fate, is something we need to think through. But we are aware that 54 of our service personnel from the military are, I wouldn't say missing in action. We have information about some of them being alive. How to get them back is something which we have to look at in the future. With that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and may long live India-Bangladesh relationship, and may we rise to greater heights. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, General Rawat. I would now request Director USI, Major General B.K. Sharma, to present the books that were released at the Valley of Words platform to General Bipin Rawat, please.
This is one of the best speeches
Sir.
I've ever heard in my life. Since you are so direct, you have praised the Muslim Bahini and all of people of Bangladesh. This is terrific, sir. This is terrific. So you didn't take away anything from history. You are giving it back to history. So the blood of the Indian soldiers are still flowing through Poddam, Meghna, Jamuna, and Tista, and making our land more fertile. They died so that our nation could live. That's a sacrifice of 1,601 soldiers, 12,000 wounded.
You have a photo with each of the books. You need a bag to carry all the books.
Thank you so much.
May I request General Bipin Rawat ji to present the customary souvenir to Sri J.P. Datta Sahab. And Colonel Sajjad, our honorable guest from Bangladesh.
Hello, sir. I've not met you. How are you?
It's an honor meeting you.
Pleasure.
Please do.
Sir, एक बार General Sajjad, sir, one photograph.
Sir.
View.
May I request Director USI, Major General B.K. Sharma, to present the concluding remarks, please. Thank you, sir.
Okay. General Rawat, the Chief of Defence Staff, firstly, I profusely thank you for sparing your valuable time to be with us this evening. I know how hectic your schedule is, but knowing your passion for the armed forces and being from a very elite military family, I knew that you're going to honor our request. And I think in your closing remarks, you have so beautifully summed up the entire 1971 war, and particularly, alluding to the contribution of Mukti Bahani and Mukti Jodhas, who were a force multiplier, and with a hope and optimism that given the bond that we have shared through blood and sweat, that the relations between the two countries are bound to grow. So with these words, I thank all the audience who have come and participated in this program, and also Shri Dattaji, then other guests, Colonel Sajid particularly, Colonel Cardozo, who is an iconic figure for all of us, General Pannu, who has been the father of this, and of course, the very idea comes from Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, so big clap to him. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening and a good day.